Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning back into Eat and Talk. I'm really excited today. Once again, my name is Yusur Mahmoud. I want to give a quick shout out to my co-host who isn't present today, Gilbert Samanju, but he is here with us in spirit. However, we have an amazing guest, my good longtime sister, Abyan Nur. She is the face of, for me, you're the face of tech, because, you know, I'm the least technical person in the world. But I'm going to let her introduce herself. We're going to talk about her amazing job board, Faceless Pro. I'm really excited to get into it. So go ahead and tell, our viewers, and it's been a long time, girl.
I know. Planning this forever.
Yeah.
So my name is Abyan Nur. I am the founder and CEO of Faceless Pro. Faceless Pro is a revolutionary job board that's, changing the resume portion of the application.
Yeah.
So Faceless Pro is what we do on Faceless Pro is that we mask all personal information from your resume, like name, race, age, gender, anything that tells people who you are. It's just a journey that I'm on. It's a startup. I started about 3 years ago. And so far, the ride has been fun.
I love that. So I want you to we're going to start off with, let's start from the beginning. And I want you to, it's my favorite story. And I told you my mom loves hearing this too. What made you start this job board in Faceless Pro? And why would you say it's really important, especially in our community, immigrant-owned community, Black, woman entrepreneurs? Like, why was it important for you to start this initiative?
So I started Faceless Pro I came up with the idea back in 2017 when I was looking for work. It was just a part-time thing, but I applied to about 24 jobs and I only heard back from 3. And I was overqualified for them, so I knew something was wrong with the system. Mm-hmm. So what I did is that I changed my name to Abby Tucker. I used the same resume.
Abby Tucker?
I know,
I
right?
love that.
I know.
I love that.
I just dropped the last 2 letters, and then I used my grandmother's last name, Tucker. Abby Tucker was born. So I reapplied to those same jobs, and almost every single one of them wanted to interview me.
Wow.
So I know, right?
And why do you think that is? Why not Abyan Nur and you got callbacks from Abyan Tucker or Abby Tucker?
It's because Abby Tucker sounds white. So I whitened my name to get the interview, essentially, right? Again, we have unconscious bias, racism, and discrimination that's happening. And we might not be aware of it, but name bias exists. And that's what happened to me. Even though I qualified for these positions or even overqualified for these positions, I still didn't get the interview because of that.
Yeah.
So it was mind-blowing.
Wow. And I can relate to that because I can't even imagine how many times I got declined. They see Yusra Mahmoud.
I know.
Girl, that's great. So that's really amazing. And so tell me, is your background in tech? Because creating something like that, essentially, like an app or a website that's kind of like Indeed, but for people that, that would serve us. Yeah. Tell us about that journey, because I'm sure it wasn't easy.
So Faceless Pro is actually for everyone. A white guy actually came up to me a while back, and he said, because of George Floyd, I feel like I'm being targeted.
Reparations.
He's like, I feel like I'm being targeted. So using your platform will definitely get me the interview, right?
Interesting.
I know. So going back to your question, I was not a techie person. I don't have a tech, background. My major was mechanical engineering. With that being said, I love creating things.
Which is so badass, by the way.
Mechanical
engineering is so badass.
Thank you. Yeah. I was always that kid that always played around with things. The VCR, I would take it apart. I just told people my age.
No, you didn't, girl. No, you didn't.
It's okay. It's okay. But no, I was always that one kid at home who would like to fiddle with things. I would take things apart. I wanted to know how it worked, how it operated. I even took coding, computer coding, just to see, I wanted to know how it, what that was. But going back, so several years ago, I actually had an idea. It was an invention. I approached a company and they stole it. So
wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. We just can't pass that.
No,
you approached a company with your idea.
I did.
And they stole it.
I did. Yeah. Back then the law was first to patent, I think. Now they changed it. I think they changed it to first to use it. So yeah, so I came up with a water bottle. I used to run a lot. So I came up with a water bottle. I entered a contest, got to a finalist, got a little bit cocky, and I was like, yeah, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
Approached the company to do the prototype, and they just took it. So it's on Amazon. It's all over these places. And
Girl,
I'm just like,
what's the name?
making millions of dollars where I'm just sitting here doing
What?
I know. I'm not mad about it though.
I'm mad for you, but it's okay.
No, because Ilahi gave me more ideas.
Absolutely. No,
So,
and that's a fact because what's meant for you is always going to be meant for
Thank
you.
you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
100% true.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, but again, engineering is my passion.
Yeah.
I mean, or creating things is my passion, you know, and that's what I do. So I actually have a patent, but I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
For a medical device.
Okay. Okay, girl, look at you. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to like Faceless Pro.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, you know, you got started, you started building the website and everything like that. I kind of want to know, share us some stories about like, have you been able to give opportunities to people that were like once in your place, and how has that been like?
So I can only remember one person. It was a nursing student. She was looking for work, and so a company actually called me, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for nurses if you know anyone." And then this girl just happened to call me, and I just made that connection. So she didn't even use Faceless Pro,
But I mean, technically she did because she
did.
contacted you.
Yeah. So I guess I played the recruiter. But it's been hard getting companies on Faceless Pro. I feel like when I when I first started approaching companies, I feel like I was somewhat threatening them, or they felt like I was calling them racist, or you know, you guys are being discriminated. You know what I mean? All this stuff.
Which low-key they are, but it's besides the point.
Yeah, but they got very offended, and they didn't really want to work with me. And I'm still actually struggling to get companies on Faceless Pro. Aside from that, it's like, I mean, I have plenty of candidates, but it's just the companies aren't there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so you feel like it's because when you approach these companies, they're a little skeptical and they're like, are you trying to call us out? And that's why they're like afraid to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay, how is there a way that you find to kind of overcome that obstacle?
Not really. I'm still getting we're using other services, or try again a year from now, you know, stuff like that, like the runarounds.
Yeah.
They're not saying no, and they don't want to say yes. So they're just giving me like maybe kind of a thing.
And how about the companies that you do have been able to maintain relationships with or connections with? Like, how has that been? And you know, how was the approach with them?
Honestly, some of them actually were very happy that this product existed. They're like, well, how come we've never heard of it? And I'm like, well, it's new. You know, it's a startup. And so far they have been successful with it. And again, I just made that quick connection or that, you know, for them, because I automatically know who I can connect them with, because Faceless Pro is still small, right? Aside from that, they love the company. They every time they're hiring, you know, they hop on Faceless Pro and also post their jobs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. I really feel like Faceless Pro can really be the future. Like, I really feel like if you were to get in front of Shark Tank, that they would offer and invest in this. That's why when you told me about this, I was appalled. Like, girl, how are you like even in the same circumference as me? Like, you're like up there, like mashallah, 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 tabarakallah.
What?
So how can the community, or what do you need from, I guess, in general to win?
Okay. So I would love to work with companies that are hiring. So if you are a company that's hiring, contact me or Faceless Pro, and just post your jobs on there. And if you're a candidate, someone who's looking for a job, just go on Faceless Pro, and we'll definitely connect you with, you know, a job.
So. And of course, I don't know why I didn't ask at the beginning. How did you come up with the name?
Well, I wanted to mask all personal information, and honestly, it's just one of those things that just came to me, like Faceless, you know? And then I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to do Faceless because I want to sign my own professional. So I said Faceless Pro. But I plan on dropping the Pro one of these days.
Okay.
Because I think Faceless is perfect.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit about AI.
Okay.
I want to hear, just because, you know, you're kind of like now newly interested into the tech world and, you know, you're working with all of that. What are your opinions on AI? And I ask this to everybody who has like a website or a job board or somehow in the tech world. Like, do you feel like it can benefit you / employers and employees? Or do you feel like it's, you know, not so great in my favor?
It could be either way. I feel like people that are coding are still biased. So when they create this program, it still affects people like you and I. With that being said, I think AI is amazing. It can do a lot of things for us. So I don't think we should stop, you know, working on it. I think we need to get more minorities, blacks into that environment so that way they can create things for us, because that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. So speaking about that, like our minorities and blacks and all of that, like, as your journey, like as a young Somali woman, emphasis on the young, by the way, obviously like being in Minnesota, and I'm sure you've traveled and you've connected with like a lot of different people. I kind of want to know like about your journey, like what are some, you know, pros and cons and some highlights and some things that just haven't, you know, worked out in your favor, just as being a hardworking like young Black woman? And do you feel like that's an actual narrative, that's a truthful narrative, or do you feel like it's just something that's painted out that people just use as an excuse?
I do feel like people do use that. Like, when I go to places, they look at me like, you're just a Black woman. You know, what can you do? So it's hard to be in certain environments, especially when you're Black, Somali, and an immigrant, right? And most of these networking places that I go to, if I'm not the only Black person there, I'm definitely like one of five top, and those other four are like male. So it's hard at times, because I would love to see more Somalis and more Blacks in those environments. But I don't, and I do get looked down at times. And
so it's essentially, it's real. It is. It can be a struggle.
It's like, what are you doing here? Kind of a look. You know? Yeah.
Well, you're killing it. So
Thank
continue
you.
putting yourself in those rooms.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop.
Exactly.
That was my goal.
Period. Exactly. So speaking of like putting ourselves in rooms, let's talk about the importance of networking, because that's something we've talked a lot about.
Absolutely.
Is it important, and why is it important?
It's absolutely important, because one, you'll make amazing connections. Two, you'll find out or you'll meet someone that has information that you truly need. So it's important to network and connect with everyone else. When I started Faceless Pro, I wish I had known to actually go and network first before I did that, because I feel like a lot more doors would have been open for me instead of where I'm like struggling to do everything. So
Yeah. Has there been like a networking event or someone that you've come across, and you don't have to say who, but you really feel like changed your life?
Yeah, I met several actually, where I would talk to them and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Or that's an amazing idea, you know? So yeah, there are a couple of people, mentors are amazing.
Mentors are amazing. And we kind of talked about it at the panel. By the way, Abyan was on the East African panel for the city of Minneapolis, and she did amazing. But that is something that we talked about, and I think you touched a little bit base about like how important mentorship and mentee is. Do you have a mentor, or are you a mentee?
I have several mentors, where if I want to talk about, let's say, creating a different product or adding something to my platform, you know, I know the person go to. But if I want to do like marketing or whatnot, then I would go to this other mentor. So I have several. I don't have one. And I think it's important to do that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's really important. How about like collaborations? And we were also talking about this. Are you still looking for a co-founder?
Yes, I am looking for a co-founder.
Okay.
It's one of those things. I have been trying to get a co-founder on board. I just can't find anyone, or maybe I'm not looking hard enough.
So what are you, maybe we could find them on Eat and Talk. What are you finding, what are you looking for in a co-founder? And like what exactly, because I feel like co-founder is general, but I want to know what exactly that means to you. Okay. What role would they play and what your expectations is for a co-founder?
So the co-founder that I'm looking for is, so when I'm doing something technical, right, I have to learn from scratch.
Yeah.
So I would love to find someone that already knows all this other stuff, you know, how to build this or program that, where I don't have to like literally watch dozens of YouTube videos, right?
So they have a technical background.
Yeah, so absolutely a technical background. I'm good at managing and doing all this other stuff. So I would love someone who's completely opposite of me. So, and someone who's good with money too.
Okay.
Because I tend to squander a lot.
Okay. No, that's very feasible. Yeah. What would you say like are your, you know, solid strengths, and what would you say you're like, you know, these are not the best of my, I wouldn't call it weakness. I would just say it's lesser of a strength. Yes.
Yeah. I would say my strength is like creating things. I'm really good at coming up with ideas, you know, like, you know, just creating things out of nothing. You know, I've always done that. I didn't know that was a strength, by the way.
That is a huge strength.
Yeah, I didn't know that,
I'm
though.
the least creative person ever.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I've always thought like it was just one of my, you know, thing, right? My weakness would be to procrastinate on things. I tend to wait until the last minute to get things done. But then apparently that's a good quality or a good strength. I wasn't aware of that either. Because most companies are actually looking for people that wait till the last minute to get things done.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
For some, well, according to research, they're saying that those people are more creative. They take shortcuts and they come up with amazing ideas doing that. So
I never thought of it like that.
Me too.
Okay.
But companies are actually looking for those.
Anyways, so so I guess that's a great thing. I'm about to put that in my resume. Skills gets things done last minute.
You should, because companies are truly looking for those skills, or you know,
that's awesome.
It is.
So speaking of like companies, and I'm not sure if you're up to par with this, but like minimum wage, trying to raise the minimum wage.
Okay.
And someone who works with, you know, kind of on both ends, like you know how employers feel and you know how the employees feel.
True.
What do you think about, you know, raising minimum wage? Do you think it's a necessity? It's important at least in our state of Minnesota, or do you feel like it's going to affect, you know, the company, especially, you know, you're a company owner, but you can understand too because you've been on the other end. Yeah,
absolutely. So growing up, my mom told me that grown-ups should never, ever, ever get minimum wage. They should always get something called a living wage. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So the minimum wage is okay if you're a teenager who's still living at home. But if you're an adult with 4 kids, you definitely need a living wage.
Yeah.
Currently, I won't be able to give you that, but I'm sure other companies can.
Yeah.
But for a small employer like myself, it just depends on like, you know, what I'm making. So yeah, but I would love to offer a living wage, if not above that.
I love that. I've heard of that, but I've never didn't know the exact definition until you just compared it right now. So a living wage essentially is like something that can help people, you know, at least be comfortable in their life. Where a minimum wage is like, okay, you're building towards that living wage or something like that.
And the government calls the living wage middle class, just so we're clear.
Okay.
Which I think the middle class, like $50,000 should not be in that category at all, because I feel like it's just way too low.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
absolutely. Especially with the economy these days and rent and all of that stuff. Like, it's crazy.
But it's apparently minimum class.
Yeah. Do you work with just companies in Minnesota or nationwide?
Currently I'm working with Minnesota, like companies in the state, but I would love to expand. I would love to do regional, like the Midwest, and then go from there.
Okay. Is there specific industry, or is it open to all industries?
I'm actually open to all industries. I cannot. Someone was suggesting that I should pick an industry and, you know, just stick to that, but I'm just too small to like
just
pick a niche.
Pick a niche. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And then like how do people hear about Faceless Pro? Like also touch base, like how important is marketing?
Marketing, well, for me, it sucks because I'm doing all the work.
Yeah.
But I did. So marketing is very important, especially like using social media. You can get the word out to like dozens, if not thousands of people. I don't know why I said dozens, but thousands of people within like 5-mile radius, let's just say. So marketing is important. I think social media is very important when it comes to that. What was the other question?
And I think that was the second part, I think, was like the marketing.
Okay.
And I was saying like, I mean, how can people find out about Faceless Pro?
Well, one, I go to tech events. So I do a lot of networking. I don't do a lot of networking in the Somali community, unfortunately, but that's going to change soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, so I will definitely, I mean, I'm on social media. I'm, constantly doing things, and I'm constantly, posting it. So a lot of people are finding me through that. I don't know if they know about Faceless Pro, but next time I'll start mentioning it a lot more.
Yes, girl. We need to like see like all over like social media and everything, So, but I love that you're a startup, and I really feel like you're going to blow up, inshallah. And I think it's something that's so necessary because, like I said, I can imagine all the experiences we went through, and especially you sharing your story with like having to change your name. I had to do that on the phone. Like I lie on the phone about my name, or picking up like my order from like as simple as Chick-fil-A. I don't even tell them my name because I don't want them messing it up.
They're going to butcher it anyways.
Exactly. They're going to butcher it.
Abyan,
which is like unfortunate because they should learn if they can, pronounce all these extra Scandinavian names and Russian names. Like there should be no problem with, treating us equally.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. No, that's true. But you shared so many information that I'm like really thankful for. Yeah. I would love to know kind of like, what's one piece of advice that you have to anybody watching this who is maybe starting their startup journey, or maybe, just finished college and having a hard time finding a job, or vice versa. Maybe you started a company and you're having a hard time finding employees. Like what's a strong piece of advice that you have for like someone?
Network. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Like if you want to find that one job, you're going to have to network. If you want to find that employee, you're going to have to network. If you want to find whatever information from your company, you're going to have to go out and network. That's the only way you're going to get things done, honestly.
Yeah. I love that. And I say that all the time. People don't believe me until they actually start networking. They're like, yo, because it's not about, I mean, it is about what you know, but it's not really about what you know. It's about who you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. The other thing I would like to say is that I've started like a lot of companies in the past, and I always gave up. So if you're going to start a company, be persistent. Like, do not give up. Like when I started Faceless Pro, I told myself like I was never going to give up on this. So I'm still here.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do the same. You
Still
cannot
thriving.
quit. You cannot quit.
Yeah.
So
Can't quit. I love that.
Yeah.
Are we expecting more companies from you?
Absolutely. I plan on running a Kickstarter, inshallah, soon for my product, because I cannot get the grant that I need from the government. So I will be doing Kickstarter sometime in March, inshallah.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can raise enough funds where I can start a manufacturing company here.
And before, because you just ignited like 10 more questions in my head right now, I kind of want to talk about raising capital now and the government and grants and funds.
Yeah.
What is the hard part about that? And why do you feel like our community like struggles so much? Because there's all these like, you know, organizations and programs that are like, we have funds and there's this and the government has funds, like don't miss out on them. But it's still so hard for like our Black and brown and immigrant minority owned entrepreneurs to secure these.
Yeah. I mean, I can only speak from my experience. I feel like when I go to certain people, they look at me as a Black woman raising capital. I don't know why, but...
So they don't look at you like this is an entrepreneur. They're like, oh, it's a Black woman.
Yeah. You get that feeling, that vibe. Like no one's really taking you serious. And on top of that, I don't have a co-founder or any of that. It's just like, you know, for grants, I've applied to several of them and I haven't gotten one. There's this one in the Twin Cities. It's for tech or technology, and it's for women, Black, and minority. And I've applied twice. I sat down with the team. They're like, "Oh my God, you only missed it by 5 points last time." I reapplied and I didn't get it the second time. So I'm just like, I thought I missed it by 5 points. What happened? You know, and the only reason why I didn't get that grant then, they said that my company was too new. And now I didn't even bother asking why. Yeah. So
I feel like they need to do a better job at explaining the criteria, you know, how to ensure that they get these funds, because it's not, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, a person even went over the application with me. They're like, well, you did good here. You did good here. Next time, just use this word instead of that. Like, walked me through the whole process. Again, I missed it by 5 points because I was too new. And I didn't get it the following year. So I have no intentions of applying for that again because it was just a waste of time. So grants, they say it's for people like you and I, but
it's so tough and it's so frustrating because you're right. They title it for, you know, it's for Blacks and minorities, and it's really hard to even apply. The application process is super tedious, lots of jargon that like a regular person, even someone who, you know, got their MBA can understand, you know. And on top of that, then to get a reply takes a really long time. And it's like, hey, like this grant is supposed to like help struggling businesses, you know, and if you're offering to like help with capital, like this is insane. And I'm so sorry that like I know like a lot of small businesses that I work with deal with that, but I thought it might be different for like the tech world, you know?
Oh God, no. The other funny thing is that I don't even know if I should say it on here.
It's okay, girl. Say it. We say everything here.
Men would come on to you, like, love to take you out, you know?
So girl, do not open that door because I could talk about that forever.
I will never. It's like, really, I'm actually here to raise capital, not to go on a date with you.
It's basically like men in these positions are going to be like, hey, we're going to help you with your business. And then you come and sit down with them and they're really not talking about it. They're not talking about that type of business.
I think they forgot about the Me Too movement.
Right?
It was just a couple of years ago.
I don't think people really care about that. That's actually so frustrating. And I think, and I said this like even during the panel, like we go through so much, like being Black, being a woman, being Muslim, like all of those things, like the world is against us, you know?
It is.
And
we're still here.
We're still here and we're not going anywhere.
Nope.
Absolutely not. So sorry to any of the men. Cause my last episode, I was like, yeah, guys. So now it sounds like I'm bashing men. I swear to God, I'm not.
Wow.
I love our men, but there are unfortunately like a few, and just like how it is also like with women, there's always a few, you know, people that like use their power for not so good. So
I know it happens. But you know, we all know this.
But it makes us stronger. And it teaches us lessons, you know, and so that's why we're so kick-ass. So,
absolutely. And never give up. Never give up. Like, if it's your dream, keep going. Never stop.
I agree.
That's how I see it.
I am so glad that you did this interview. And I always tell everybody, you know, like, I love to see, like, your journey in the future. So I always invite everybody to come back. So I definitely am going to have you back because I know Faceless Pro is going to pop off. And if you are interested, please make sure you check out her website. I'm going to link it and your social media pages, and let's find you a co-founder. I know that there's someone, you know what I love about like this podcast is there's been so many people who've like been a guest on here and like they've connected each other's services, you know? And so I think it's going to be the same with you.
I hope so. I hope so. I've been looking for a co-founder for a minute now.
Co-founder. We need some companies and businesses.
And candidates.
So, candidates.
Put your resume up there. You'll never know. So,
absolutely.
Definitely.
So we're going to reach out to Abyan Nur. Definitely be prepared to be sick of her this year and the next few years to come. Is there anything else that you wanted to add on?
We should acknowledge today. August 1st.
Oh, girl, you gonna get me boycotted in this.
I'm just saying, you know, we should acknowledge.
No, we should because I was, you know, my dad and I were talking about this. It's something to be happy about. We're about to, we sound like nationalists. It's Palinde. August 1st, happy Poland Day to all my Polanders.
Right?
You know,
Exactly.
Somali win, but it is something like a farha. So
25 years.
25 years of peace and
Amazing.
love.
Mashallah.
And Somalia, a big shout out to Somalia. Somalia is thriving.
Absolutely.
Lots of amazing new businesses.
We need to support it.
We need to
Let's not
support
forget
it
that.
100%. If you have the opportunity to go back home, make a change anytime in
Yeah.
your life, do that.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like we work hard so that we could also make a change back home. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's my end goal.
Yeah.
To move back home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that. Me too.
Yeah.
I love that. We're going to take over Somalia. We're going to go back home,
Absolutely.
sipping our coconut drinks on Lido Beach. Like, it's about to be lit. So,
Yes, I agree.
And
Yes.
like, thank you to everybody. And we have so many supporters from Somalia that
Mashallah,
watch us that are
that's awesome.
so amazing and so supportive. And so,
Awesome. Mashallah.
I appreciate that. But
Yes.
thanks I know we're going to get a little bit of heat about that, but
I know.
but happy
I just
Poland
had to
Day.
say it.
I think I said this in like the last episode though. I said, you know, it's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from, your bloodline, your royalty.
Absolutely.
As long as you're not putting anybody down, who cares? Like, be proud of like where you are, you
your
know?
DNA.
So exactly. On that note, that's a great way to end it. I love it. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching Eat and Talk. We look forward to the next episode, and we're so happy that Abyan Nur was able to finally join us.
I know.
Love having badass women on here. I need more. So if you are a woman that is, you know, making some type of change in the world, please contact me at eatandtalkmn@gmail.com or send Eat and Talk a DM. Thank you.